Hi, I'm Bob Darmelnay, and I'm here with my son Kevin and my daughter Jennifer. Kevin is a new driver and Jennifer is not far behind. As the parent of a new driver, I'm more and more aware of the number of crashes which claim young lives each year on our roads. Do you realize that young drivers aged 15 to 20 are 4 times more likely to be involved in crashes than adults are? Parents have a key role to play when young drivers are learning, not only in the example they set, but in the guidance they provide. This video and the accompanying guide will help you in that role. Together with young drivers, there's an opportunity for a partnership for survival. Make a difference. And Kevin, now it's your turn.
AAA presents Teaching Your Teens to Drive, a training program for young drivers and their adult coaches.
Okay, stare straight ahead and smile if you like.
A new driver in the family, eager to take his or her place behind the wheel in our nation of drivers. To the teenage driver, a license represents a giant step toward adulthood and independence. Yet for many parents, it's a time of great anxiety and concern. In the lessons that follow, we'll show how a partnership between parents and teen drivers can make the early driving years a pleasure, not a tragedy. The key is supervised practice, aimed at forming safe driving habits early on. This video covers basic driving skills in 13 lessons, which can be practiced separately or combined as your circumstances permit. If you wish to view the lessons individually as you progress through the video, the number in the upper left-hand corner of the screen will help you locate the correct lesson. You will also find references to the Parent-Student Handbook, which accompanies this video, and the AAA text, How to Drive. Since the lessons are carefully graded for difficulty, we urge that you practice them in the order which they are prescribed. They are sequenced as follows: Developing Basic Vehicle Control, Lessons 1 and 2. Basic Traffic Maneuvers, Lessons 3, 4, and 5. Organizing Your Visual Search, Lessons 6, 7, 8, and 9. Timing Your Moves, Lessons 10 and 11. Higher Risk Conditions, Lessons 12 and 13. Forming a Partnership for Survival. For more information about forming a partnership with your teen, we recommend that you fast forward to the end of Lesson 13 for an important message about teenage drivers from the president of AAA. His message will better help you understand the importance of applying the principles outlined in this video. Again, we recommend that you and your teen only watch 1 or 2 lessons at a time and then go on the road to practice the lessons. Each practice session should last no longer than 60 minutes. The Parent-Teen Handbook should be reviewed before the driving lesson, and there is an observation checklist that can be used to document performance at the end of each chapter. If additional driving information is needed, the How to Drive textbook may be used. To better understand how well a teen driver perceives risks around their vehicle, we strongly urge that you use a technique known as commentary driving. This technique will help sharpen the driver's observational skills and also keep the coach informed.
Another pass, and you can drive down through here and see if you see the same signs I do. We're starting out with this traffic light that's just turned green. It has a signage in between the traffic lights. There's a speed limit sign here.
Communication between the coach and driver is key to learning where the teen driver is looking and understanding how well the teen driver is assessing driving conditions. This technique should be conducted in 3 stages. First, the coach should drive and identify driving conditions that would increase risk.
Car approaching from the left did not stop for their stop sign. Car approaching from the left again. Median up ahead in the middle of the road. The road we're on is a one-way street.
Next, the teen should identify such conditions while the coach drives.
That car in front of us is making a left turn. And to our left is a pedestrian walking away from us. To our right, Just a car heading out.
And finally, the teen should drive and identify such conditions. To make the most of each practice session, a little preparation is needed. Here are a few suggestions for the coach. Choose an appropriate route for each lesson and drive them before the lesson. Review the performance of the previous session and make sure the new driver understands the objectives for the next session. Be patient, calm, and alert while on the road. Minimize distractions in the vehicle. This includes not eating, listening to the radio, a cassette tape, or CD, and no other passengers. Sit in a position that allows you to place your left hand on the steering wheel to guide the vehicle if necessary. Give directions at least 1 block in advance. When giving directions, give the location of where the action will take place, then the action needed. An example is, at the next intersection, turn left. Use the word right for directions only. Use correct to confirm. Allow the new driver to make mistakes if the mistake does not pose undue risks. Guide the new driver through maneuvers step by step and repeat them as necessary. Before having any discussions or long explanations, find a safe place to pull over and park. Ask the new driver their assessment of their performance and use the checklist for review at the end of each lesson.
My daughter will be 15 next month, and naturally I'm getting nervous. I'm not looking forward to it, I can tell you that.
It's a lot more difficult than you think it will be because you have to take into effect of what other cars are going to be doing and, how they're going to react to different situations.
The drivers out there today are pretty wild, to say the least.
For lessons 1 and 2, choose a level surface with few obstructions, such as a quiet country road, a residential street with minimum traffic, or an empty parking lot. Before entering the vehicle, take a look at the outside. Nothing under the wheels, windows and headlights clean, nothing near the vehicle you might hit as you start to move. Then enter the car, place the key in the ignition, and immediately lock the doors. Adjusting the seat and the steering wheel is an important step that shouldn't be overlooked. To maintain control of your vehicle, you must sit in a comfortable erect position, squarely behind the steering wheel. You should also be able to comfortably reach the accelerator, brake, and clutch without lifting your heel from the floor. The top of the steering wheel should be about even with your shoulders, and you should be able to see the road within 12 feet of the front of the vehicle. If not, it is recommended that you use a wedge-shaped seat cushion. After adjusting the seat and the steering wheel, place your left hand on the wheel between 9 and 7 o'clock and your right hand directly across from the left between 3 and 5 o'clock. Grip the outside rim of the steering wheel with your fingers gently but firmly, keeping your thumbs up for better control. You should be in a comfortable position, not too close to the steering wheel. Now adjust the inside mirror so that it frames the rear window and you can use it without moving your head. When adjusting the outside mirrors, tilt your head 3 to 5 inches to the left and right, and adjust the mirror so that you can just see the side of the car on the inside edge of the mirror. When sitting up straight, you will not see the side of the car in the mirror. This adjustment will widen your view by 10 to 15 degrees to each side. Now adjust the head restraints so the top is even with the top of your head. Finally, fasten and adjust your seatbelt and make sure that all passengers are properly belted. In most states, this step is more than just a good safety measure. It's the law. Once you have followed this routine several times, it will become a habit, the first of the safe driving habits that you will learn in this course.
I got in and I didn't know that the car idled. I thought it wouldn't go until I pushed the gas, and so I got in and I freaked out. I started screaming and I was like, oh my God, and I slammed on the brakes, and it's kind of a jerky first drive. But after that, it was all right.
To begin Lesson 2, start the engine with the following steps. Place your foot on the brake pedal. Check your selector lever to make sure that it's in park. If your car has a manual transmission, the shift should be in neutral and the clutch down. With your foot on the brake pedal, turn the ignition switch to start. When the engine starts, keep your foot on the brake pedal and turn on the low beam lights if your vehicle is not equipped with daytime running lights. Now move the selector lever to D, drive position, and release the park brake. Check your mirrors and look over your shoulder to make sure the road is clear. Signal and pivot your foot from the brake to the accelerator. Look where you want to go and gently press the accelerator. There are two generally accepted methods of steering: push-pull-slide steering and hand-over-hand steering. To begin push-pull-slide steering, place your hands between 7 and 9 o'clock and 3 and 5 o'clock. Look to the point to which you want to steer and turn the steering wheel with a series of smooth sliding up and down movements. In hand-over-hand steering, starting with the hands between 9 and 10 o'clock and 2 to 3 o'clock, turn the wheel with a series of cross-arm movements. Both methods can provide continuous control. However, the push-pull-slide method tends to be less fatiguing, and with both hands always on the wheel, it helps the driver maintain balance in the event of an emergency. Also, since the hands are never placed between the airbag and the face, should the airbag inflate in the event of a frontal crash, there is less chance of injury to the face, hands, and arms than with the hand-over-hand method. Now to the stopping procedure. Check mirrors for traffic. If parking, turn on the right directional signal. Pivot your foot from the accelerator to the brake pedal, using your toes, not the ball of the foot, to brake. Tap the brake pedal to alert drivers behind you and brake to a smooth stop. Set the parking brake, place the selector lever in P for park, turn off your headlights, turn the ignition to lock, and remove the key. Check for traffic, exit the car, and lock the doors.
My 16th birthday, I got my license, and I drove my friend home for the first time by myself, and I hit the curb. So I got nervous at first, but the first week was really getting my mind into it.
Before I took driver's ed, I was fine in the car. I was just sort of oblivious to everything. But now I sit in the car and I'm this nervous wreck. When anything comes near, I flip out thinking I'm going to get hit.
Don't get nervous, because that's just going to help you learn. And the more you drive, the more you learn.
In lessons 3 and 4, you will practice judging the time and space needed to enter and leave traffic. You will also begin to practice the effective scanning skills that will help you spot problems quickly and identify objects or conditions that could increase the level of risk. For this lesson, choose 2-lane, 2-way, and multi-lane one-way streets with a speed limit of 25 to 35 miles per hour, light traffic, and good visibility. You will practice scanning ahead to establish a visual lead of 20 to 30 seconds. This search ahead will allow you to maintain a visual control zone of 12 to 15 seconds. This is normally enough time to identify, analyze, and react safely to an event in your pathway. The first technique to practice in this lesson is turning at an intersection. When approaching an intersection, signal 3 to 4 seconds ahead of the turn and check traffic to the rear. Scan all corners for traffic controls and for traffic in all directions. Position properly within the lane and brake to a stop. Check traffic again on all sides. Select a gap in the traffic, look as far as possible ahead along your intended path of travel, turn and accelerate to a safe speed. Now that you are underway, move your eyes back and forth from 4 to 5 seconds ahead out to 20 to 30 seconds while scanning both sides. Look for actions or conditions that could increase the level of risk and anticipate points where conflict might develop, such as intersections, parked vehicles, and shrubbery. To keep the car in the correct position, center on an imaginary line down the middle of your intended pathway. When your path is narrow, keep the car closer to the center line or to objects on the left, where it is easier to judge small distances. Communicating well with other drivers requires skill in sending and receiving messages. The coach can help the new driver learn to communicate through proper use of lights and horn, appropriate body actions and gestures. Be alert for eye-to-eye contact. If your eyes don't meet, it could mean that the other driver either doesn't receive your message or is ignoring it. On the other hand, if another driver is behaving in an angry or aggressive manner, it is best to avoid eye contact and distance yourself from that driver as quickly as it is safe to do so. While you practice leaving traffic, using the stopping techniques learned in Lesson 2, it is a good time to practice parking on upgrades and downgrades. Choose a quiet street with a moderate slope for this practice. The following procedure will prevent your vehicle from rolling down the hill into the roadway. To park on an upgrade, select a parking space ahead. Then bring the car to a stop within 12 inches of the road edge. Turn the wheels sharply away from the curb while allowing the car to roll back slightly until it just touches the curb. When parking on a downgrade, apply the same principle. After stopping, turn the steering wheel sharply toward the edge of the roadway, allowing the vehicle to move forward slowly until the front wheel reaches the edge of the road or just touches the curb. Once you feel comfortable driving in light traffic, it's time to move up to multi-lane one- and two-way streets with moderate traffic traveling 30 to 45 miles per hour. In this lesson, you will practice changing lanes and other more challenging maneuvers. Before practicing changing lanes, when driving in very light traffic, practice turning your head both left and right to check blind spots. 2 or more quick glances are better than 1 long one. Remember to keep up your speed and stay in your lane while checking blind spots. When changing lanes, always be sure to check traffic ahead, behind, and on the sides. Maintain a safe following distance. Select a safe gap in the traffic. Signal. Check blind spots in the direction of the lane change. If safe, adjust speed as necessary and steer into the lane and cancel the turn signal. Shared left turn lanes allow a high volume of traffic to turn left or exit locations on either side of a busy street. They are marked with solid and broken lines and left turn arrows. When preparing to make a left turn from a shared left turn lane, use your mirrors to check for following vehicles. Check the blind spot by looking to the left. Be alert for oncoming traffic, signaling a left turn at the same location. Check for drivers entering traffic from the left or right side of the road and turn when it is safe to do so. When using a shared left turn lane to enter traffic, signal your intention to turn left. Make sure no one coming from the right is signaling a left turn. When clear to the left, move out into the shared left turn lane, stop and turn on your right signal. Make sure no oncoming vehicle is signaling a left turn. When traffic is clear to your right rear, enter the nearest through traffic lane.
I'm always telling him, turn the radio off. You don't need to listen to the radio while you're driving. Especially new drivers, they're nervous to begin with, and I think the radio distracts them.
Probably the best thing I learned is just the responsibility of the driver to the other drivers, that you just can't take the road for yourself. You have to take in consideration that there are other people.
Learning proper parking techniques is an important part of driving. To practice this lesson, find a safe area in a quiet parking lot with parking spaces angled at 30 to 60 degrees and 90 degrees. We'll begin our parking lot practice with angle parking. Once you have identified a parking space, signal your intention to enter the space. Stop about 6 feet away from the line of parked cars. Then slowly move forward until you can look along the line marking the near side of the space you are entering. Turn the steering wheel sharply and quickly while slowly moving forward into the center of the space. As you enter, check the danger points, which are your front bumper on the far side of the space and the rear bumper of the vehicle on the near side. In exiting an angled parking space, you must learn to judge the car's position by glancing at the front of your car during backing. Keeping your foot on the brake, shift to reverse and signal the direction of your turn. Check for vehicles and pedestrians and move straight back until the back of your front seat is in line with the back of the vehicle on the side to which you are turning. Then turn the steering wheel in the direction you want the rear of your vehicle to move. Check for clearance to the front on the side opposite of the direction you are backing. When your front bumper clears the back of the vehicle on the side to which you are backing, stop, check again for vehicles or pedestrians, and proceed. Entering a 90-degree angle parking space is similar to entering a space at a lesser angle, except that you will need more room to turn. Identify an open space, signal, and position your vehicle 8 to 9 feet away from the back of the vehicles in the row you are entering. Move forward until you can look down the line or near side of the car parked ahead of the space you want to enter. Move forward slowly while turning the wheel quickly to guide your car into the center of the space. The danger points to watch are your front bumper on the far side of the space and the rear bumper of the vehicle on the near side of the space. Backing out of a 90-degree parking space should be done slowly and carefully because of the limited visibility. Keep your foot resting on the brake pedal and proceed with care. Signal and move slowly back until the windshield of your car is in line with the back bumper of the vehicles parked on each side. Check to make sure that your front bumper on the side opposite your turn clears any vehicle parked on that side. Here's a tip. When available, select a 90-degree parking space which will allow you to go forward when exiting. The new driver should learn the safe ways to reverse direction early on. When driving around the block would be impractical, backing into an alley or driveway is the safest method. For this lesson, choose a dead-end street or one with little traffic. To back into a driveway or alley from the roadway, move close to and parallel to the curb or edge of the road and stop. If the driveway is clear, check traffic, shift to reverse, and move slowly back until the rear bumper of your car reaches the near edge of the driveway. Turn the steering wheel sharply to the right. As you enter the driveway, straighten the wheels and stop as the front of your car clears the edge of the road. Shift to drive, signal, check traffic in both directions, and enter the proper lane. Heading into a driveway or alley and backing into the street is a second but somewhat more dangerous method to change directions. Choose a driveway on your left where your view will not be blocked when backing out. When your path is clear, signal and turn into and near as possible to the right side of the driveway. This allows more room for the front of the car to swing left as you back and turn. We've included parallel parking in this lesson, but the new driver may want to postpone tackling this more difficult parking maneuver until lesson 10 or 11. Parallel parking can require a little more practice than angle parking, but keep in mind that it is basically a lane change in reverse, done at a very slow speed. Begin by positioning your vehicle parallel to and 2 to 3 feet from the vehicle parked just ahead of the space you are entering. Your front seat should be in line with the front seat of the parked vehicle. This alignment is the first of 3 checkpoints. Now, check traffic and back slowly, turning the steering wheel quickly in the direction you want the rear of your car to turn. Continue backing until the end of your front seat is in line with the rear bumper of the car you are parking behind. This is checkpoint 2. While backing slowly, turn the steering wheel back to the center. Continue backing until the corner of your front bumper is in line with the rear bumper of the car you are parking behind. Checkpoint 3. Look to the rear and back slowly, turning the steering wheel as rapidly as possible away from the curb. Stop close to the vehicle to your rear. Move slowly forward while straightening the wheels. Stop with your vehicle an equal distance from those to your front and rear, with the curbside wheels within 12 inches of the curb. To exit a parallel parking space, while backing, turn the steering wheel sharply toward the curb. Stop close to the vehicle parked behind you. Check traffic, signal, look over your shoulder, and move forward slowly, steering rapidly away from the curb. When the front bumper is in line with the rear bumper of the vehicle in front of you, check traffic and while moving slowly, quickly turn the wheels to straight ahead. When the back of your front seat is in line with the rear bumper of the vehicle in front, turn into the nearest lane and accelerate as appropriate.
My parents didn't let me drive for, I think, a good year, and then they let me drive on my own. And I, knock on wood, I haven't had an accident, or I haven't been in anything serious. I think it's because they let me get past that initial excitement about driving.
When they have driver's training, they should go over like basic rules better. I mean, like signaling, for example. I think a lot of people tend to just not signal and forget, and it's really irritating because that causes a lot of accidents.
Mastering the scanning skills you were introduced to in Lesson 3 will help you quickly identify and react in a timely manner to objects or conditions that could increase the level of risk along the path ahead. For this lesson, plan a route that will expose the new driver to several changing conditions, including limited visibility, reduced space, and changes in traction. Visibility determines safe driving speed. No one would ever dream of driving blindfolded, yet many drivers don't slow down when their visibility is reduced by the elements or their view of the road ahead is blocked by man-made or natural obstacles. For example, when driving on steep hills, especially on a two-lane road, be alert when approaching a crest. Scan ahead for oncoming vehicles, stay to the right, and be prepared to steer to a safe area. Take the same care on sharp curves. When approaching the curve, position yourself in your lane to be able to see as far through the curve as possible. A driver must frequently manage with reduced space when the roadway or shoulder narrows, or if the space through which the vehicle must pass is reduced by parked cars, water or snow, construction barricades, or a dropped lane ahead. Avoid surprises by scanning as far ahead as possible and adjusting your speed before you must deal with a reduced space situation. Reduced traction caused by any substance on the road surface, whether it be water, snow, or loose gravel, can cause you to lose control of your car. Good scanning skills will allow you to spot those substances in time to adjust your speed and/or direction. Roads are more slippery when it just begins to rain. An accumulation of only 1/12 inch on the pavement can cause hydroplaning, which is like having water skis for tires. Remember, you have no control over the condition of the roadway surface, so you must learn to recognize dangerous conditions before it's too late. A bewildering array of signs and signals dot our roadways, but can you imagine how chaotic it would be without them? The problem is that many drivers either fail to see, do not understand, or ignore the very signs and signals that allow us to share the roadway in safety. In this lesson, the new driver will practice recognizing traffic signs, traffic signals, and pavement markings. There are 3 general types of signs: regulatory, warning, and guide signs. Regulatory signs tell you what you can or cannot do at any given time or place. They are red, or black on white, or white on black. Warning signs are yellow and usually diamond-shaped. Important exceptions are round railroad signs and 5-sided school zone signs. Warning signs in construction areas are orange. This extended merge lane sign indicates that the lane extends 1,000 feet or more. Guide signs come in several shapes and colors, though they are normally white on green, blue, or brown. International signs with graphic symbols are also seen frequently on U.S. highways. Traffic signals or traffic lights are easier to recognize than some signs, but they are often ignored by drivers. The new driver must learn to recognize and respect them, but do not take it for granted that other drivers will always obey them. In addition to the common traffic light, there are several other signal lights that you must learn to recognize and immediately interpret. The standard traffic signal lights with directional arrows. Advanced delayed left and right turn signals with and without arrows. Lane control red and yellow X's and green arrows. Flashing yellow and red signals. Railroad crossing gates and lights. Lines, lettering, and symbols on the pavement are also used to direct or control traffic. For example, the letter R used with the letter X indicates a railroad crossing. Pavement markings may be used with or without other traffic control devices. In general, broken lines can be crossed when it is safe to do so. Solid lines are meant to restrict or prohibit crossing. Yellow center lines, separating traffic traveling in opposite directions, may be single or double. Broken yellow center lines mean you may pass when safe. A single solid yellow line to the right of a broken line or double solid lines mean that you cannot pass. Solid white lane markers are used to mark the right edge of the roadway, and when located between lanes going in the same direction, they are meant to discourage lane changing or passing.
I have been with her in the car, and she seems to not pay as attention as she must. You know, the radio's real loud, looking for friends who can see me drive and things like this. This is not a show we're putting on. This is serious, and I don't think she understands that yet.
They're gonna like wonder who the people I go out with and the people who are in my car, like not stupid people, you know, who are making me do like stupid things.
In Lessons 8 and 9, you will be asked to search out and identify clues which will help you anticipate the movements of other vehicles and non-motorized users of the roadway. Practice over a variety of routes and conditions, commenting on the potentially dangerous situations that arise and how you would cope with them. Here are 4 examples of potentially dangerous situations involving vehicles. What do you see in each of these situations that could warn you of potential danger? You'll see each scene for only 3 seconds. Did you get them all? Let's take another look. In number 1, the driver was talking on a cellular phone. He may not be directing his attention to the task of driving, especially while dialing the phone. In number 2, a large bus is making a routine stop. It's a common scene, but you must be alert for passengers who may cross the road in front of you, and also be ready to adjust if the bus should pull out into your lane. In number 3, the driver of the blue car is tailgating. If the car ahead of him brakes, there could be a rear ender. Be ready to adjust speed or steer out of harm's way. In number 4, the driver is engaged in a lively conversation and not paying much attention to the demanding task of driving in traffic. Adjust speed or position to maintain a safe distance from a potentially dangerous situation. Here are examples of other situations which could require you to take defensive action. Large trucks, buses, and motorhomes restrict your vision and take up much more space within a lane and when turning corners. They also accelerate and stop more slowly. Notice cars with collision damage or underinflated tires. These are often signs of a careless driver. The underinflated tires limit a driver's ability to maneuver. If a car's windows are tinted or the windows and mirrors are dirty, the driver may not be able to see you. Notice this vehicle's front tires. The driver is likely to turn right even though he hasn't signaled. This driver may be distracted by his children. The driver ahead is all over the road. He may be under the influence of alcohol or other drugs, or is very tired. Either is a formula for disaster on the highway. Collisions kill more than 5,000 pedestrians, 1,000 bicyclists, and countless pets and wild animals every year. This lesson will help new drivers develop a visual search process that better enables them to detect and predict the actions of pedestrians, cyclists, and animals on or near the roadway. This lesson should be practiced on city, residential, and business streets and rural highways. First, let's take a look at some clues to pedestrian behavior. How old are they? Are they toddlers who may be unaware of danger? Is it an elderly person who may move slowly or not hear your horn? How many are there? If a group, some may not be aware a car is approaching. Are they paying attention? Are they talking or wearing headphones? Can the pedestrian see you coming? If you see a pedestrian in or near the roadway, be ready to stop, slow, or steer out of danger. Sharing the roadway with a bicyclist presents a challenge to both cyclist and driver. Drivers must be aware of the bicyclist's ability to control the bike and adjust accordingly. Some clues to take into account are age of the cyclists, type of bicycle and attire, condition of the roadway, visibility, and possible obstructions the rider may be forced to avoid on the roadway. Animals present a special problem to the driver because their movements are so unpredictable. If you spot an animal in a dangerous position, quickly check traffic around you before steering or braking to avoid it.
I initially was a very safe driver because I was just learning and I was very conscientious of what I was doing. But I think almost the more comfortable I get, the more daring I get, kind of.
I will supplement the driver's education program strongly. I don't feel that they've learned enough in driver's education to put them on the road, and they need to have a lot more training than what they're getting.
Most collisions occur at intersections when two or more highway users attempt to occupy the same space at the same time. A simple statement, but one all drivers should remember when approaching an intersection. For this lesson, choose multiple lane streets and highways with left and right turn lanes and phased traffic signals. During the lesson, the coach should frequently ask the driver to share scanning information on assessment of risks.
Now there's a truck right here beside you, so you're going to have to let him clear.
To begin your practice, keep in mind that the approach to an intersection is important. Well before the intersection, start to scan for areas of limited visibility, identify traffic controls, monitor roadway conditions, anticipate possible conflicts with other drivers, pedestrians, and bicyclists, and check following traffic.
Make sure.
Well in advance, visualize the path you will follow and position your car in the proper lane. At intersections with traffic lights, you must be able to clear the intersection or complete your turn before the light turns red. Vary your practice by turning both ways and crossing the intersection.
Excellent.
If the intersection is controlled by a stop sign, you must select a safe gap in the traffic. The rule of thumb is that you will need at least 6 seconds to cross an intersection 30 feet wide. Turning will require a longer gap, 8 to 9 seconds in an urban area and 11 seconds or more with traffic crossing at 55 miles per hour. You can estimate the seconds counting 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Remember, when turning at an intersection, to turn from the far left or far right lane and enter the first lane that goes in the direction you want to go. Where turns are permitted from more than one lane, stay in your lane. Repeated practice, crossing intersections will take much of the anxiety out of urban driving. Remember to adjust your speed, search ahead for problems, and position your car well in advance. Am I too close to the car ahead or the oncoming car? Will I have time to merge? These questions are related to positioning and timing on the highway, crucial survival skills that a new driver must develop. For this lesson, choose a residential area and a 2-lane country highway with hills, curves, and bridges. To adjust for oncoming traffic, remember to avoid meeting trucks and buses in areas of reduced space, such as bridges. Avoid meeting other motorists as you approach pedestrians, cyclists, or disabled vehicles. Avoid meeting other vehicles on slippery roadways such as bridges or shaded areas in winter. They may be icy. Rear-end crashes account for more than 20% of all reported collisions. To avoid being a rear-end crash statistic, When the weather and visibility is good, maintain a 3 to 4 second space between your vehicle and the one ahead. Position your vehicle so that you can observe the actions of drivers 4 to 5 vehicles ahead. This will give you time to adjust speed and position to avoid a collision. It's also important to leave an area into which you can steer on at least one side of your car. There are times when you should increase your following distance even more, such as when you are behind a large truck, when you are approaching a railroad crossing. Here are some of the conditions that will normally require you to adjust your speed. To stay out of blind spots, to avoid driving in a pack, to allow time to assess, collect, and process traffic information. Entering, exiting, and driving through freeway interchanges and passing on a 2-lane highway are higher risk maneuvers, which should be practiced only after the new driver has completed the previous lessons. Whether you call it an interstate, throughway, beltway, or freeway, driving on these limited access highways can be a challenge to the most experienced driver. Entering or exiting a freeway may require several practice sessions. Such maneuvers are usually done from the right. However, if possible, a new driver should also be given the opportunity to practice entering and exiting from the left. Once you have identified the proper entrance, turn onto the ramp and begin scanning the merging lane for a safe gap. Use your mirror and head check as necessary. A gap of 4 seconds is desirable. Note the length of the acceleration lane ahead of you. Maintain a proper space margin with the cars that are on the ramp with you. If in a weave lane, check frequently for exiting traffic. A good way to practice exiting the freeway is for the coach to suggest a trip route, such as, we are heading north on I-605 and want to go west on I-210, or simply, we want to go to Pasadena. The coach should then ask the driver to explain the actions he or she will take in response to the appropriate guide signs. The steps to exit the freeway are the following. Identify the appropriate exit at least 2 exits in advance. Check following traffic. Select the proper lane and signal intentions 3 to 4 seconds in advance. Enter the speed change lane as soon as possible. Enter the exit ramp at the posted speed or as appropriate. Check traffic ahead and behind as you proceed onto the ramp. Learning to pass on a 2-lane highway can be a matter of life or death. Impatience, bad timing, and poor judgment of space kill 5,000 to 6,000 drivers in head-on collisions every year. For this practice session, choose a 4-lane highway with moderate traffic and a lightly traveled 2-lane rural highway. Practice estimating the time needed for a safe pass, first on a 4-lane highway, then on a 2-lane road before the actual passing practice. To pass a car that is going 30 miles per hour, you will need about 13 seconds. At 40, you'll need about 16 seconds. At 50, you'll need approximately 19 seconds to pass. Follow these steps for a safe passing maneuver. Position yourself 2 to 3 seconds behind the vehicle you want to pass. Check mirrors and position your car near the center line. When you have enough space ahead to pass, turn on your left turn signal, tap your horn or flash your lights, and do a blind spot check. Accelerate quickly into the passing lane at 10 to 15 miles per hour faster than the vehicle you are passing. Concentrate on the path ahead while using your fringe vision to check the position of the car you are passing and the left shoulder of the road ahead. Check your mirror for following cars. When you can see the front of the car you have passed in your rear view mirror, signal and return to your original lane while maintaining your speed. Learning to protect yourself and to cooperate with a vehicle passing you is also important. Keep to the right as soon as you realize another driver wants to pass. Maintain constant speed or slow down if necessary, and be ready to steer to the right if the passer misjudges the space ahead.
When like an animal ran across the road, I hit the brakes and I started, skidding and doing 360s. And I didn't know that you weren't supposed to hit the brakes once you lost control. And if I would have known that, but then like the next time when I was in a situation like that, I started skidding and I knew not to hit the brakes because it happened to me before and I was okay, you know? I got control again of the car.
Adverse driving conditions, such as night driving, require special precautions. Your ability is limited to spot parked cars or other objects, pedestrians, or animals in or near the roadway. Landmarks and street signs that are obvious in daylight are lost to view at night. It becomes much more difficult to assess a safe speed within the reach of your headlights. Add the glare of oncoming headlights and night driving becomes a challenge for any driver. Proper use of your lights will make your night driving trips safer. Remember to turn on your low-beam headlights day and night prior to entering traffic. Dim high-beam headlights at least 500 feet from oncoming vehicles and 350 feet from vehicles ahead of you. Glare from oncoming and following headlights can blind you for several seconds. Don't look directly at them. Look down and to the right, using the right edge of the roadway as your reference point. Scan back and forth from the center of your path of travel and to the lighted edge. Adjust the inside rear view mirror and any other mirrors that produce glare, and if you are temporarily blinded, slow down and keep to the right until your eyes readjust. Above all, when driving at night, slow down. The risks of driving at night make it absolutely necessary to drive slower than you would under the same conditions in daylight. Don't overdrive your headlights and increase your following distance to 4 or more seconds. Fatigue and nodding is a driving risk that can occur day or night. To avoid falling asleep, take breaks when you feel tired and plan rest stops every 2 hours. If you have air conditioning, keep the car cool. Lastly, for those periods between 1 and 5 p.m. and around your normal bedtime when your biological clock slows down, schedule a rest stop or nap. Most drivers are cautious on icy roads, but may fail to adjust their speed when driving in rain. Worse yet, they may not recognize hints telling them that they are losing directional control of their vehicle and haven't learned the proper braking or steering technique for slippery surfaces. To avoid losing control of your vehicle on a wet surface, watch for standing water on the pavement. Also, raindrops that bubble as they strike a road surface are a good warning sign. When traveling on a wet road, reduce your speed by at least a third. Steering and braking on a slippery surface demands that you use your eyes to find the best escape path to tell you when to brake and how much braking pressure to use. If you don't have anti-lock brakes, the best way is to squeeze firmly on the brake pedal. With your heel on the floor, use your toes to apply firm, steady pressure on the brake pedal just short of lockup, the point at which the wheels stop turning. Under the stress of trying to stop quickly, drivers who use the ball of their foot when braking will generally overreact and lock the wheels. If the tires begin to skid, use toe and heel action to release brake pressure 1 or 2 degrees, then immediately reapply it with slightly less pressure. Continue squeezing the pedal until the car comes to a stop. That's the only way to steer while continuing to bring the vehicle to a stop. In a car with anti-lock brakes, a sensor located in each wheel detects when a wheel stops turning and starts to skid. As soon as the skid is detected, the anti-lock brake system relieves the pressure just enough to allow the wheel to turn again. This allows the driver to steer while continuing to bring the vehicle to a stop. If you have an anti-lock brake system, ABS, use the heel and toe method. Press firmly. Do not pump the brake. Pumping the pedal works against the system by providing false information. When you put on the brakes hard enough to make the wheels lock momentarily, you will typically feel the brake pedal pulse back against your foot. A driver unaccustomed to the pulsing or sounds made by ABS may think the brakes are not working properly. If the driver releases the brake pedal, the brakes will not be slowing the car and the benefits of ABS will be lost. It is the responsibility of the driver to learn and understand how to interact with advances in braking technology on today's cars and trucks. Did you know that more than 50% of all vehicle occupant deaths occur as a result of single vehicle crashes? These one-car crashes typically follow the same scenario. The driver allows the vehicle to drift off the pavement onto the shoulder and loses control either by braking hard or attempting to immediately steer back onto the road. To practice off-road recovery maneuvers, find a lightly traveled, paved, 2-lane country road with good shoulder maintenance and clear of obstacles. Start on a section with the shoulder at the same level as the pavement and at a speed of about 10 miles per hour. When the road is clear, signal and steer gradually off the road until the center of the hood is in line with the edge of the pavement. Then lift your foot from the accelerator and stay off the brake. Check for following and approaching vehicles. Signal left and then turn the steering wheel 1/16 to 1/8 turn back toward the roadway. As the front off-road tire touches the edge of the road, immediately steer back in the opposite direction to maintain your lane. Cancel the turn signal and resume speed. Repeat this maneuver at slow speeds, gradually increasing your speed to 30 miles per hour at drop-offs no greater than 3 inches. Remember, if you should ever drift off the road, slow down, keep calm, and check traffic before returning to the pavement.
He's taking a driver's training course through school, and right now he's in the process of getting his license. And we made an agreement that in order to get his license, he has to do well in school, you know, A's and B's, and, you know, do his share of the work around the house.
Parents got to know what the kids are doing. They've got to know where the kids are taking the car, how long they're going to be out, you know, putting restrictions on them that are going to, you know, making sure they're responsible.
Of course, the restriction will be mainly the hours he's driving, the time he returns home, and his responsibility in being where he's supposed to be when he says he's going to be at that place.
Responsible driving is much more than learning how to operate a vehicle and getting a license. There are hard choices to be made involving the safety of the new driver, family, and community. We strongly recommend that parents and new drivers agree to written conditions for car use. See the Parent-Student Handbook for a model contract. Whatever your approach, new drivers should agree to the following guidelines for minimizing risks. Never use alcohol or other drugs before getting behind the wheel or allow their use in the car. This is a no-brainer. Limit night driving. You know that when the sun goes down, the crash risk goes way up. Make sure that everyone in the car wears seatbelts at all times. It makes good sense, and in most states, it's the law. Limit the number of passengers to 1 or 2. Too many passengers can be a fatal distraction. Limit driving under high-risk conditions, such as bad weather, rush hour or heavy city traffic, and unsupervised long trips. Never drive when fatigued, angry, or upset.
I think that people tend to either not get involved, or if they get involved, it's very tangentially, and they lay it off to some school. So there isn't, you can blame accidents for it too, as going up, but I think there's a lot of other things in society in general that are creating this. And one is the lack of concern and involvement. If you don't know what your kids are doing, you'll find out, and it might not be the best thing in the world that you find out.
This program, along with related initiatives such as graduated driver licensing, which includes parental or adult-guided in-car learning experience, can help reduce teen crashes. The supervised practice described in these lessons will require a significant commitment by parents and new drivers. It means forming a true partnership for survival on the highway, the foundation on which to build a lifetime of safe driving.
We hope you found AAA's video informative as well as entertaining. Why is AAA focusing on teen drivers? Well, because motor vehicle crashes are the #1 killer of 15 to 20-year-olds. They injure more than 500,000 teens a year, and something needs to be done to keep this tragedy from getting worse. At AAA, we take this very seriously, and you can help us. 2 simple facts need your attention. Number 1, new drivers need more behind-the-wheel time under adult supervision. And number 2, controlling the keys to the family car can really make a difference. Our goal is simple. We want to save lives. If we could bring down the teen fatality rate by just 2% over 5 years, we'd save about 600 lives. Those lives belong to today's teenagers, who are tomorrow's leaders. The loss of one, obviously, is too many. The possibility of saving 600 is awesome. With your help, we can do it. Please, don't underestimate how much of a difference you can make. On behalf of AAA, thank you, and safe driving.